All right, I want to bring in Democratic Congresswoman Abigail Spanberger of Virginia. She's a former CIA case officer, and she sits on the House Intelligence Committee. Congresswoman, thank you for joining us. Look, the indictment lays out pretty clearly the nature of the documents that the former president's being charged with. They have to do with U.S. defense, intelligence capabilities, nuclear capabilities, and yet you hear Trump saying tonight, I had the absolute right to take the documents. What does that make you think as a former intelligence officer yourself?
Abby, in the indictment, it lays out that these documents detail U.S. capabilities. They detail U.S. plans in the event of an attack. They detail our capabilities. They detail the military and technological capabilities of our partner nations. As is laid out in the indictment, these documents are the roadmap to keeping our service members safe in the event of any sort of conflict. They talk about, the United States' biggest, deepest secrets. And anyone who has access to this level of classified information, as per what was listed in the indictment, has an absolute duty to protect them. And so as a former intelligence officer and as a member of Congress now, I think it's absolutely horrifying that anyone would downplay the seriousness of what these documents represent.
I want you to take a look at this graphic showing the areas in the Mar-a-Lago club where these documents were found. They were, frankly, all over the club. And some of your colleagues in the House today, one of them in particular, said, well, there are 33 bathrooms. You can't just walk into any bathroom at Mar-a-Lago, or the idea that the bathroom has a lock and that's a secure place. What's your reaction to that?
There are absolute protocols for how classified information is supposed to be maintained and protected. Certainly in the House of Representatives, we have a SCIF. It's a special facility. Documents are locked up. You have to have access to the rooms, no electronic devices, right? Members of Congress should be very clear on the protocols that go along with being able to even read or access classified information. The fact that there would be classified information, some of our nation's biggest secrets, just strewn about in this resort where we know people are coming and going, including foreign nationals, it's just unthinkable. And that then when confronted with this reality, as the indictment lays out, the president engaged in efforts to conceal that fact.
And some of your colleagues are also now saying, in the Senate, saying they're going to grind Department of Justice nominations to a halt. That was from J.D. Vance, a senator. But also Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene is saying that she will try to defund Jack Smith's office. How do you see this all playing out? Are these real threats or empty threats?
I think these are deeply tragic threats, frankly. This is a question of national security, and national security issues shouldn't be partisan. The fact that there are documents that might outline U.S. capabilities and that they were treated inappropriately, they were placed at a hotel in Florida, and that they were not returned to the U.S. government at the time that they were supposed to, and now as the indictment lays out, the former president engaged in a potential conspiracy to conceal them. The fact that any member of Congress would be saying anything other than, we need to have the case go through the court system, we need to understand fully what happened. The fact that they would defend this treatment of classified documents is deeply detrimental to our national security. And notably, as laid out in the indictment, some of the documents were labeled Five Eyes. That's information that we share with or receive from some of our closest allies and partners. The implications for our national security are not just to our own country, but it impacts the relationships and the information sharing that we may have with some of our closest allies.
Yeah, and, voters will ultimately decide. You come from the state of Virginia, where a lot of people in your state know all about how to handle classified documents properly, because they deal with them all the time.
And they would lose their jobs and go to jail if they engaged in this sort of behavior.
Congresswoman Spanberger, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.